Are you a first-time home buyer with tons of questions about how to get into your first home? Well, stay tuned. We're going to answer those questions. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Alyssa Webb and I'm a realtor in the Billings, Montana area. And today, one of my fabulous local lenders, Brian Hafner with Universal Lending, is with us, and he's going to answer all your burning questions about first-time home buyers, down payments, assistance, those kinds of things.
Definitely a lot of information out there. When you're a first-time home buyer, you have a lot of questions, and what we're just going to try to do is answer those questions and just get you on the right path to home ownership.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys, when you're watching my channel and you call me, one of my biggest questions is, well, I'm a first-time home buyer. I don't even know where to start. I don't know where my credit is. And I always tell people, well, the first thing you should do is contact a lender. That's always the first step because, and I know you know this, Credit Karma is not the same thing that lenders use for credit. They use a FICO score, right? Mm-hmm. And so that might be a little bit different than what you see on Credit Karma. So I always say do the application. It doesn't hurt. Even if you're 6 months out, it's okay. As long as you're not changing jobs, do the application. So after someone does the application, what do you look at?
So when somebody first calls, and I'll have a conversation with them, and really what we're looking for is just to kind of find out what their goals are, what their dreams are, what their plans are. And we come up with a plan based off of that. And so when we're talking to a first-time home buyer, I'm going to be looking and asking about income. We really like steady and stable income. So like Alyssa mentioned, we don't want a bunch of job changes. But if, let's say, you're moving here from out of state or you've recently accepted a new position, doesn't mean it's a deal breaker. Doesn't mean you have to be at that job for a year or 2 years. There are some circumstances where we need that though. So what we would want to do is talk about what your current situation is and what the plans are when it comes to your job, when it comes to income. It's just steady and stable. So we'll talk about that. Another piece that we're going to talk about is your credit. So it's as simple really as pulling credit, but it's also much more complicated. If I pull your credit and you've got just a little bit of debt and you got an 800 credit score, awesome. If I pull your credit and you're 600 and you've got some credit card debt, some other stuff, well, great. We can come up with a plan to knock out some of that credit card debt, to get that credit score up. I can help with that. Don't be afraid of me pulling your credit, because usually I can do a lot more good than harm. Yeah. So that is a big piece of it. We're also going to look at your debts and compare your debts to your income. So you may have a car payment on there and be like, oh, I need to pay that off. Like that's going to make my situation so much better. Honestly, we might not have to pay that off. Maybe we want to focus on some credit cards, or really we keep that money for a down payment. We don't always have to pay things off to qualify. And then we're looking for your assets. How much money do you have available for the down payment, for the closing costs? You don't have to have 20% down, but you also have to have some money. We do have down payment assistance programs, which we'll talk about. Those are great programs. A lot of conventional loans, FHA loans are 3.5% down. We've got VA loans, rural development loans, which are 0% down. There are closing costs on top of that, but we can also talk about maybe the sellers paying for some of the closing costs, or at least helping out. So it's not like you have to have $50,000, $100,000 down. The more money you put down, the lower your monthly payment's going to be. So there is benefits of that, but definitely don't make assets a deal breaker when it comes to purchasing a home.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. For down payment assistance, how does that work? Is it like on the state level? Is it state programs? Does down payment money run out? And I'm guessing there's probably some income limits to down payment assistance.
Yeah, so down payment programs they're very interesting. They do usually all have rules. The one that I work with the most is through Montana Board of Housing. It's a great state program. It's going to give us pretty much the money for the down payment, maybe even some of your closing costs. No money is free money though. So usually you're either paying that back when you sell or refinance, or the more common is when you're paying it back over a 15-year term. So if you're looking at a $300,000 loan amount, you can get up to $15,000 to cover your down payment and some of your closing costs. And then you pay that $15,000 back over a 15-year loan which is a bit extra, like $100 and some a month added on to your mortgage payment. The interest rates on that program is ridiculous's good. It's just a great program. But a lot of people think, oh, there's down payment assistance, I don't have to bring any money to the table. It's not really that easy. Usually there's stipulations, and there are rules on income. So you can't make $200,000 or $150,000 and get down payment assistance. That's just not going to happen. It's really for people that need it, that are having a harder time saving up. So a lot of like low to moderate income. The rules on that income do change, so that's something we could talk about. There's also City of Billings. It's a great program here locally if you're buying within city limits. Those rules, again, are a little bit more strict than Montana Board. The income limits are a little bit lower than what Montana Board actually allows.
Interesting.
There's NeighborWorks, which is another program. There's MoFi, which is another program. So there's definitely down payment assistance programs out there for qualifying. There's not just the program, hey, you're a first-time home buyer, we're going to give you some amazing loan, you don't have to bring a down payment. There's truly nothing like that.
Yeah.
But there are low down payment programs. There are down payment assistance programs for first-time home buyers. One of the things that recently changed is if you're a first-time home buyer making under 100% of the area median income, which in Yellowstone County right now is about $84,000.
Okay, that's really good to know.
There is this program where it's just a standard conventional loan. But your interest rate's going to be a little bit better because there's some things that the government did just to help with your interest rate. I don't want to go into too many crazy specifics and how it works and this, but if you are a first-time home buyer making under that amount, or even if you're not a first-time home buyer, but if you make under like $65,000 or $67,000, you also qualify for a little bit better of an interest rate.
Nice.
So there's definitely programs out there that don't require 20% down or $50,000 down.
That's awesome. This is really good to know, guys. Don't be like discouraged just because if you think, well, my credit's not there. How do you know? Maybe it is there. The credit like guidelines are different for every loan program.
Yep.
So you really don't know until you have that conversation, do the application, and you can find out like the best scenario for you. The down payment funds though, do they run out?
So yes and no. Montana Board of Housing doesn't ever really run out. City of Billings, every once in a while it does. There's a few other programs that sometimes do. I'll say I've been doing this for about 7 years now, and the only one that I've really heard that's run out, the one is City of Billings.
Okay.
There's every once in a while, some lenders will come out with some like cool special down payment assistance programs, and those are kind of very temporary. So there was one called like Lyft that was around, and it'll show up again maybe once a year or once every other year for like a month, and then they're out of funds. So there are some programs that do run out, but the main ones that we work with do not run out of funds.
Awesome. That's really great to know. We got a little bit of information on down payment assistance and what it looks like as a first-time home buyer. So if you're new to this process, the lender handles everything money-wise, so they're handling like getting you that loan, really making the dream come true happen. And then I would handle everything from looking at houses and knowing your needs and wants in a home and home touring and the contract process through all of that. It takes a team. So we work together to make the dream happen, to get you into that house. If you have questions about buying a home, first-time home buyer, programs, the process, what it looks like, and what to expect to pay out of pocket, just reach out to us. Our contact information is in the description below. Don't be afraid to reach out to either Brian or I. Make sure you click to subscribe and stay tuned because we're going to be chatting about all things lending, and we'll have more episodes coming up. Until next time.